Goreng wakes up in a concrete cell, with a wide rectangular hole in the center, and a stranger calmly watching him from the opposite side. The man introduces himself as Trimagasi, speaking as if everything around them is self-explanatory. He explains the structure they're trapped in. Countless levels stacked vertically, 2 people on each, and a platform that descends once a day carrying the leftovers from everyone above. The higher your level, the better your chances. The lower you go, the closer you are to starvation. Goreng tries to make sense of it, but Trimagasi keeps labeling every observation as obvious, as if Goreng simply needs time to catch up. When the platform arrives, it carries a chaotic spread of half-eaten dishes and spoiled remains. Trimagasi eats without hesitation. Goreng refuses, unsettled by the idea of eating scraps touched by dozens of strangers. Trimagasi warns him that hunger will break whatever moral stance he thinks he has. When Goreng tries to save an apple for later, the cell reacts immediately. The temperature begins rising toward lethal levels. Only placing the apple back stops the punishment. Trimagasi says the rule is simple. Take nothing after the platform descends. Goreng admits he volunteered for this place, hoping to quit smoking and finally read a book he brought with him. Trimagasi laughs at the idea of choice. He explains how a misleading commercial pushed him into a violent mistake that landed him here. The more he talks, the clearer it becomes that desperation and self-justification brought him into the system, not fate. He also reveals that he has been on many levels, including one so low that no food reached them at all. Survival, he says, is a matter of accepting the obvious. You eat or you die. A thud from above interrupts them. Something heavy slams down the hole. Another body. Trimagasi barely reacts. He explains that on higher levels, people indulge until boredom replaces fear, while on lower levels, despair drives violence. Goreng considers shouting upward to negotiate some form of rationing, but Trimagasi mocks him for believing solidarity can exist in a place designed to crush it. At night, Goreng reads to distract himself, and Trimagasi listens as though the words offer comfort he would never admit needing. But the month ends, and gas fills the room. They lose consciousness, waking on a new level. This time, they open their eyes in the depths. Level 171. The platform arrives carrying nothing but dirty plates. Trimagasi stares at Goreng with a quiet resignation that quickly turns into calculation. He ties Goreng down while he sleeps, explaining that hunger destroys even the strongest morals. He claims he doesn't want to kill him, only keep him alive by cutting small pieces of flesh over time. Goreng struggles and pleads, but Trimagasi insists this is the only way. His voice stays calm, almost gentle, while the platform continues to descend past unseen screams below. Hunger begins twisting time, and Goreng's mind drifts between panic and fading hope as Trimagasi prepares the knife. Trimagasi waits 8 days before making the first cut. Goreng is weak, dehydrated, and drifting in and out of consciousness while the old man talks to him as if guiding a reluctant student. When the knife approaches, Goreng pleads again, but Trimagasi insists this is survival, not cruelty. The blade touches skin. Then the platform descends, carrying a woman fighting off attackers. She lands at their level covered in blood, swinging wildly. Trimagasi panics. Goreng uses the distraction to break free, grabbing the knife and turning it on the man who has kept him restrained for days. The struggle ends with Trimagasi collapsing, fatally wounded, still calling Goreng "my little snail" as he dies. Goreng is too weak to move. The woman, Miharu, silently tends to his wounds before descending on the next platform. Days blur into hallucinations. Trimagasi's voice lingers in Goreng's mind, urging him to eat. Hunger swallows every principle he held coming in. Eventually, he consumes pieces of the body, keeping himself alive long enough for the month to end. Gas fills the room again, and he wakes on a new level. A woman named Imogiri sits across from him with a dachshund in her lap. She knows his name before he says it. She explains that she used to work for the administration and personally approved many of the people who entered this place. She asks detailed questions about his medical history and favorite foods, and Goreng realizes she conducted similar interviews before sending others here. Imogiri insists she came voluntarily to help, believing that fairness is possible if people simply choose to share. She prepares careful rations, pleading with Goreng to pass them upward and downward. He tries, but the people above ignore him, and the people below insult them. Her calls for solidarity collapse instantly. As days pass, Imogiri continues dividing portions for the platform each morning, repeating instructions that no one follows. Eventually, after constant rejection, Goreng threatens the lower levels with exactly what worked on him weeks ago: contamination. The moment he promises to defile their food, they obey. Imogiri is horrified by the method, but Goreng tells her it's the only language the system understands. She grows weaker. Her illness becomes obvious, though she hides it behind polite conversation. When she learns about Miharu and the supposed child, she denies the story entirely. No minors are allowed in the structure, she insists. But Goreng has seen the woman fight for someone. The contradiction gnaws at him. One morning, Goreng wakes to find the platform untouched and Imogiri hanging from the ceiling. She left herself as a final act of what she calls generosity, believing her body would sustain him through starvation. Her voice joins Trimagasi's in Goreng's mind, turning his isolation into a constant echo of guilt and instruction. He tries to resist, but the hunger returns with the same inevitability as the platform. The month ends before he completely breaks. Gas fills the cell again. When Goreng opens his eyes, he feels the floor shake under level 6. The platform arrives stacked with untouched luxury dishes. For the first time in months, abundance surrounds him. But standing beside him is a new cellmate, whose presence will force him into a decision that changes the structure's purpose from survival to rebellion. Bharat stands on the opposite side of the cell, gripping a thick rope with absolute conviction. He believes he can climb out from level 6. The moment the platform rises, he throws the rope upward, shouting at the people above for help. At first, they respond kindly, promising to pull him up. When he climbs, they mock him, assault him, and send him crashing back down the shaft. His rope follows after him. Rage, humiliation, and despair fill the cell as he realizes that even this close to the top, escape is treated like a joke. Goreng watches silently, seeing in Bharat the same instinct he once had: hope, without understanding the system's shape. When the next day begins, Goreng proposes something different. Not escape, impact. If they can ride the platform downward and ration food to every level, they might spark change. Bharat rejects the idea immediately. Leaving level 6 is insanity. Going down is suicide. But Goreng repeats the calculation. Going down is the only way to go up. When the platform arrives, they step onto it armed with improvised weapons. As they descend, They stop at each level below the 50th, handing out measured portions and warning anyone who tries to take more. Some resist and are beaten back. Others watch with stunned silence. Just as their resolve cracks, an elderly man on a higher level offers unexpected guidance. He teaches them that persuasion must come before force, and that sending a symbol back to level 0 will mean more than feeding every floor. He gestures to an untouched dessert, panna cotta. Preserve it, he says. That dish will be the message. Below level 100, order collapses. Bodies lie scattered across tiles. Some have taken their own lives. Others succumb to starvation or violence. Miharu appears again, fighting to protect them as they move deeper. But when a group attacks, Miharu is killed. Bharat carries her body back to the platform, shaken and furious. Goreng forces him to keep going. The levels stretch far below the number the old man predicted. The platform refuses to stop at floors where no one is alive. Goreng counts the passing darkness, gripping the panna cotta as if it were the last piece of logic holding the structure together. At the final level, they expect nothing. Instead, a small girl sits alone in the shadows. She is under 16. Impossible, according to every rule of the administration. She stares at them silently, starving. Bharat prepares to give her food, but Goreng stops him. The panna cotta must be the message. Yet the girl's eyes fix on the dish with quiet desperation. Goreng hesitates. He gives the dessert to her. Bharat collapses shortly after, succumbing to his wounds. Goreng holds the child close as his own strength fades. When the platform rises, he steps off, leaving only the girl. She rides upward alone, carried toward the top by the momentum of everything they sacrificed to bring her here. Goreng watches from the darkness, knowing he is no longer the message.